you. I want to wake up the dreamer in you. I want to wake up the author in you. I want to wake up that part of you that's been lying dormant. You know, that dream that you have, that thing that you have that you've been literally sleeping on, that you haven't acted on. I want to activate that. I want you to move forward. As a matter of fact, there's a gentleman by J.M. Power, and here's what he said. He says, if you want to make your dreams become a reality, if you want to take your dreams to the next level, he said that the first thing that you have to do is wake up. And so what does he mean by that? Well, the reason why you have to wake up is why? Because most of us, unfortunately, we're sleeping on our dreams. Most of us are not moving forward. Most of us are not doing that thing that we know that we need to do to take our lives to the next level. And so if you know in your heart that you have a dream, and that dream's been lying dormant, you know that there's something that you've been wanting to do. You know you've been wanting to write the book. You know you've been wanting to take your business to the next level. You know that you've been wanting to start the business. You know that you've been wanting to make the career change. You know that you've been wanting to go back and get the degree. There's something that you've been wanting to do, and maybe perhaps you've been sleeping on it. I want to invite you today to finally wake up. And you say, well, Andy, what do you mean wake up? What I'm saying is for you to start acting on your goals and your dreams, for you to stop talking yourself out of it, for you to stop convincing yourself that you don't have the resources, that you don't have exactly what it takes. You see, John Wooden said, don't allow what you cannot do to interfere with what you can do. And so oftentimes when it comes to your goals and your dreams, you're going to identify a lot of things that you're not quite sure on how to do it. I understand that. Listen, we all do that. You're going to say, you're going to look at your bank account and you're going to say, wait a second, I don't have the resources. You're going to go through your personal contacts and say, wait a second, I don't have the right connections, the right contacts. There's going to be a lot of things that when you look at it, you're going to convince yourself somehow in some way that you don't necessarily have what it takes. But here's what I want to remind you, what John Wooden said. He says, don't allow what you cannot do to interfere with what you can do. And so here's what I know. Regardless of how long you've been putting off this goal and this dream, whether it's a week, whether it's a month, whether it's been years, that there is something that you can do right now that's going to allow you to start moving forward on your goals and your dreams. There's something that you can do right now that's going to take you out of this comatose state. There's something that you can do right now that's going to awaken the entrepreneur, that's going to awaken that author, that's going to awaken that speaker, that's going to awaken the dreamer, that's going to awaken that part of you that's been laying down dormant, that's been sleeping. And so J.M. Power said, listen, here's what he said. Listen, that the first step, if you want to go ahead and make your dreams become a reality, the very first step, the first thing that you got to do is you got to wake up. You see, it's okay to have a dream, but until you act on it, all it is a dream. And so finally, at some point, you have to be willing to take some kind of action. And so what I want to do right now is I'm sounding the bells. I'm ringing the alarm clock. And I'm hoping that if you've been sleeping on your goals and your dreams, I'm hoping that if you've been sleeping on an idea, I hope that if you've been sleeping on something that you've been wanting to do and something that you've been meaning to do, that right now, this moment, that you're going to make the decision to wake up. And let me tell you something. I know what it's like to sleep on the goal and the dream. I mean, I know what it's like to want to move forward on something and want to take action, but yet be afraid and have fear hold you back. I know what it's like to have a dream and to sleep on the dream because of uncertainty. I know what it's like to have a dream and to sleep on the dream because of self-doubt. I know what it's like to have a dream that you want to act on, a dream that keeps you up at night, but yet and still, when it's daytime, you're still not acting on it. I know what it's like. And I tell you that at one point I had a dream, and it was a serious dream. It was a dream to leave my corporate job. It was a dream to become an entrepreneur. It was a dream to finally discover what my passion, what my gift was. That was the dream. But I tell you, for a year and a half, I was sleeping on the dream. I was sleeping on the vision because I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was sleeping on the dream. I was sleeping on the vision because of fear. I had the fear of rejection, the fear of failure. And I wasn't quite sure on how things were going to work out. And so what I did was for a year and a half, I literally went to sleep on my goals and my dreams. And maybe you can relate to that. I don't know what it is for you, but I want you to think about right now, if there is a goal, a dream, something that you've been wanting to do, that you've been meaning to do, and that you know that at night when you close your eyes, you can see it. You can see yourself speaking in front of the audience. You can see yourself signing off on those books as the people are standing in line for your best-selling best-selling book. You can see yourself cutting the ribbon for your new business. You can literally see yourself getting out of debt. You can see yourself being a six-figure, a seven-figure earner. You can see it. The dream is there, but you just haven't acted on it. And let me tell you that if that's the case, let me tell you, you're not alone. You see, Henry David Thoreau said that most men and women, they go through quiet desperation, and many of them will go to their grave with their dreams still in them. And I say that to you to understand this, that there's a lot of people who are internally frustrated. They may not let you see it. They may not even voice the conversation. And the reason why they're frustrated is because they're going through the daily motion, and they know that deep down inside that they have a dream that they've been wanting to act on, a dream that they've been meaning to act on, and they just haven't acted. And so the question is, then why is it that we're sleeping on our dreams? Why is it then that we haven't moved forward? Why haven't we done the thing that we know that we have to do? And one of the reasons I believe that we do that is because oftentimes we are just simply looking at the circumstances. Oftentimes we're just looking at what we're able to see with our eyes. And so we are fixated on our eyesight. And so what happens is when we pull out the laptop and we open up our online banking and we look at that balance is saying, wait a second here, your dream is not going to become fruition. That when you start getting online and you're looking at other people making things happen on social media and so forth, and then you're looking, you're not getting many followers and you don't have a very big list, you start convincing yourself because you're looking through your hindsight that, wait a second, this is not going to happen for me. I don't have enough people. I don't know the right people to make this thing happen. Or when you're looking through the lenses of your eyes and you're looking at past experiences and things that have happened to you in the past, and when you look at those experiences, you say, well, Andy, you don't understand. My dream can't happen because you don't know what happened to me 2 years ago. You don't know what happened to me 5 years ago. And what I'm saying to you is this, that many of us who are sleeping on our dreams, that's why, because we're moving forward with our eyesight. And so at some point there has to be a shift and a change. And you say, well, Andy, what's the change? The change is you have to make the change from simply looking through your eyes and now shifting and now tapping into your mind sight. And you say, well, what's my mind sight? Your mind sight is your ability to see yourself beyond the circumstances. It's your ability to see yourself beyond what's going on in your bank account. It's the ability to see yourself beyond whatever has happened to you 2 years ago, 5 years ago, beyond what's happened in the past. It's the ability to see yourself beyond the circumstances, beyond the conversation that's going on in your mind, beyond the things that people are telling you that you cannot do. You've got to tap into your mind sight. That's how you begin to live your dreams. You start living from a place in which you understand that, wait a second, my circumstances may mislead me. This situation may mislead me. And so I have to stop depending on my eyesight, and I have to start now thinking about from my mind sight. I have to write the vision and make it plain. I have to have the vision in my mind. And I understand whether man can believe or conceive in their mind, at some point they can possibly achieve it. And even though these may be the circumstances, and even though these circumstances have me sleeping on my dream, that this is the time right now for me to wake up. This is the time right now for me to take my game to the next level. And so this is that time right now. I'm telling you, this is a wake-up call. And I know I'm waking up something in you that maybe perhaps you haven't seen in a while. I want to wake up that entrepreneur. I want to wake up that dreamer. I want to wake up that author. I want to wake up that speaker. I want to wake up that six-figure, seven-figure earner. I want to wake up that change maker. I want to wake up that game changer. I want to wake up that difference maker. I want to wake up that part of you that maybe perhaps has been sleeping. And what I'm saying to you is that it's time to wake up. Yeah. You see, you can't go through life just sleepwalking. You can't go through life just simply standing on the sidelines. You can't go through life just simply having great conversations about what you wanted to do and what you should have done and the things that you could have done. And what I'm saying to you is this is the time right now for you to absolutely make sure that you wake up. I tell you that things began to shift for me in 2004 when I made the decision to not just simply have the dream, but to now act on the dream. And I'll be the first one to tell you right now that even though I tried to act like I had a whole bunch of confidence and that I knew what I was doing, I tell you right now, I was afraid, but I understood the words of Joyce Meyer when she said, you got to do it afraid. And sometimes the reason why we're sleeping on our goals and our dreams is because we're consumed with fear. And so we're hoping that that fear is going to go away. But let me be the one to tell you, surprise, guess what? That fear oftentimes is not going away. As a matter of fact, the only way that that fear would get smaller is while you're feeling afraid, if you're still willing to move forward. And some of you have been fearful about moving forward on your goals and your dreams. Some of you have been fearful about waking up because you know that waking up means that you're going to have to do something. Waking up means that you're going to have to start sitting down and writing that book. Waking up means that you're going to have to pick up that phone and start making those sales calls. Waking up means that you are actually going to have to go ahead and maybe perhaps sit in a classroom again and sit next to people who are maybe half your age. Waking up means that you're going to have to face your fears. Waking up means that you're going to have to get uncomfortable. Waking up means that you're going to have to step outside of your comfort zone. Brian Tracy said that your comfort zone is your danger zone. Waking up means that you're going to have to step out and be introduced to a better part of yourself. Donald Trump said that your comfort zone is in direct opposition of your greater self. And so ultimately, at some point, when you decide that you want to wake up, and I'm telling you, this is the time for you to begin to wake up. This is the time right now for you to start waking up on your goals and your dreams. When you make the decision that you're willing to wake up, what it means is that you're going to have to act. What it means is that you can no longer sit down and stand on the sidelines. For some of you who know me personally, you know that I've always been a big advocate of investing in real estate. And so I remember one particular time when I was investing in quite a bit of real estate, and there's a couple other people who were investing in a particular area. So it was myself and, you know, my real estate mentor, and it was quite a few of us who were in one particular area, one particular neighborhood that we were all just constantly buying homes. Some of the guys were building new homes. Some of the guys were buying and fixing homes. Some of the guys had rental properties. And I'll never forget this. There was one particular home that had a massive, I mean, this humongous tree right on the side of the house. And so the tree had grown so close against the side of the house that the roots of the tree literally caused a crack to go up through the side walls of the house. And the crack over time literally went through the entire center of the house. And so this house had this massive tree leaning against it. The root of the tree caused a crack in the foundation of the house, caused a crack to literally go up the walls. And not only that, but of course, now the house was not being inhabited. So the people who owned the house were using it as storage. And so over time, I mean, this property was looking really, really bad. I mean, the roof was deteriorated. I mean, if you peek through the windows, you could see literally trash bags from the front of the door all the way back to the back of the house. I mean, the house was really not a sight to see. And I tell you right now that all these investors in the area would drive by that house and no one had any interest in the house. And I tell you that a couple times when I would drive by the house, I would just stop the car and I would look at the house. And even though what I looked at was very unsightly, even though it wasn't a pleasant sight to see, even though the grass was all high, even though the roof looked like it needed to be replaced, even though they had the massive tree on the side of the house, even though I could see cracks going through the wall of the house, when I looked at the house, I didn't just see what I was looking in front of my eyes, but I saw what it could be. I saw the possibilities in the house. And so I decided to do something crazy. I got on the internet, I did some research, and I tracked down the owners of the house. And I ended up tracking down the owners of the house, and I negotiated a deal, and I got the property under contract. Now, here's what happened. The group of investors that were in the area, we all knew each other pretty well. And so my buddy, who is a good friend of mine, he said, when I wasn't around, the guys were talking around and they found out that I put a contract on the house. And he said, Andy, man, you were the laughing stock, man. These guys were making fun of you. They're like, man, what is Andy thinking? He's buying this house. It's in horrible shape. This house has this massive tree on the side of it. The house has cracks going through it. If you look through the window, there's nothing but trash in there. They're like, man, Andy, we thought Andy was a sharp guy. He's obviously not that sharp of a guy, because why would he buy that house? Why would he put that house under contract? Well, you see, here's what happened. Here's what I need you to understand. I put that house under contract. And as crazy as they thought that I was, I found somebody else who somehow also saw the vision. They saw the possibilities. And so they offered me $30,000 to take over my contract. Mind you, I didn't even close on the property yet. I didn't do an ounce of work to the property, and somebody offered me $30,000. Now listen, mama didn't raise no fool, okay? So you better believe I went ahead and assigned my contract over to this guy and made $30,000. Now, when the guy bought it from me, the same group of investors were looking over at him and they said, this guy's an idiot. We thought Andy was stupid, but now this guy paid Andy an additional $30,000 for the contract. And now this guy's going to buy this property. It's in horrible condition. The roof needs to be repaired. It has a big old tree on the side of it. There's cracks going through the foundation. They said, what in the world is this guy thinking? But let me just tell you, about 6 months later, that guy found a way to cut down that tree. About 6 months later, he found a way to fix that little foundation on those crack issues. About 6 months later, he found a way to replace that roof. About 6 months later, he had that house looking entirely different, and he ended up buying the house, fixing it, and reselling it, and making $70,000 on the deal. Now, here's what I need you to understand. I got around that same group of investors, and now they were looking at me a little bit different. They said, man, Andy, Andy, listen, man, we thought you were crazy. And then we thought that guy was crazy. And they said, man, you know what? They said, let me tell you something, Andy. We were sleeping. They said, we were sleeping on that house. We were sleeping on that deal. And so when I heard the expression, I said, well, wait a second, let me process this. And so what I realized when they said they were sleeping on the deal, when they said they were sleeping on the possibilities for that house, what they're saying is that they saw it, but they didn't see it. You see, sometimes you have a vision, you see it, but you can't just see it. And so in other words, the vision is there, you see it, but you haven't acted on it. You don't have the faith to move forward and make something happen. You see, when you're sleeping on a dream, when you're sleeping on an opportunity, it's right there for the taking. But however, for one reason or another, you're talking yourself out of it. And so maybe perhaps you say, well, listen, there's no way I'll be able to write the best-selling book. There's no way I'm going to be able to become an extraordinary speaker. There's no way I'm going to go back to school and get another degree. There's no way I'm going to make this career change. There's no way I'm going to start this business. Whatever it is that you're sleeping on, when you're sleeping on it, you're not willing to move forward. So you make excuses, tons of them, in order to not move forward. And let me tell you, all these investors were driving by this house. And all of them were driving by, but they were sleeping. You see, they didn't see the possibilities. They were sleeping. They weren't willing to take any action. They were sleeping. And finally, myself and this other guy, that we didn't just go by our eyesight, but we used our mind sight. We were able to see beyond the bad roof. We were able to see beyond the tree that was growing on the side. We were able to see beyond all the things that everybody else was fixated on, and we saw the possibilities. And guess what? It paid off big time. And so here's what I need you to realize. That right now you have a dream, you have a vision, you have a goal, something that you need to do. And when you look at it, it looks like that old house. It looks like it's done. It looks like it can't be repaired. You're looking at it and you're saying, wait, listen, I don't have the resources, or things have fallen apart. I've had a business partner go south on me, that this deal, there's no way this is going to fall apart. But what I'm saying to you is you can't just judge the circumstances. You can't just go off of what you see. At some point, you got to be willing to wake up and see beyond what you're looking at, and you tap into your mind sight and see it for what it can be. And so you've got to change your position and change your posture and say, wait a second, even though my circumstances are saying one thing, even though when I look at it, I see one thing, you say to yourself, well, what would happen if I could make this thing happen? What would I have to do if I could become an author? What would I have to do if I could become this speaker? What would I have to do if I could get out of debt? What would I have to do if I could change the situation around? And when you live from that place, because part of waking up means that in spite of your circumstances, you start moving forward and you start making the preparation for this opportunity that you're looking to prepare for. In other words, you've got to train and prepare for the opportunity that you have not yet had. And so what happens is at some point, like when we move forward on that house, at some point when you move forward on your dream, when you write the book, when you start the business, when you make the career change, someone will look at it and say, wow, he is so lucky. Wow, she is so lucky. But here was I could tell you right now. You see, the reason why they're saying that you're lucky is because they don't know the great words of the Roman philosopher Seneca, who said, here's what he said. He said that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And so what I need you to understand is this: when you wake up for your goals and your dreams, what it means is that now you're going to enter a state of preparation. And what you're doing is you are preparing yourself for the realization of your dream. And so realize this, that your dream will not show up in your life until you are prepared to receive it. And so even before you realize the dream, you have to do the work right now in preparation of the dream. I can tell you right now, when I made a decision I wanted to be a speaker, I used to go in the backyard and be speaking to the trees in the backyard. And I'm telling you, I'd be talking to those trees with a lot of energy. I'd be telling them to raise their hand. I would tell them to repeat after me. I'd share the stories and so forth. And one particular day, my neighbor saw me back there, thought I was crazy. But here's what I need you to understand. What the neighbor didn't understand was that I was preparing for the opportunity that I did not yet have. I was making room for my dream by preparing for my dream. And so eventually, me walking in the backyard and talking to those trees, at some point, those trees turned into real human beings. I can tell you right now, I would not have been able to realize that dream if I wasn't first preparing for the dream. And so what I'm saying to you is right now, if you have a dream, and you know that you need to act on the dream. You know that this is the season. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You're sick of been waiting on the sidelines. What I'm saying to you is this, that this is the time right now for you to start preparing. Wake up right now. This is the time that when it means to wake up means that now you're willing to prepare. You're willing to prepare for the dream that you have yet to realize, the dream that you want to come into your life. And so understand this. Whitney Young said this: it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. And so understand this, that your dream that you are seeking is also seeking you. But your dream will not appear and will not show up in your life until you are ready to receive it. And it is not going to show up while you are just sleeping. You may get a revelation while you're sleeping. You may get a little preview while you're sleeping. But if you want the dream to become a reality, that's going to happen while you're awake. That's going to happen while you're putting in the time, the effort, the energy. That's going to happen while you're going to the seminars. That's going to happen while you're making the phone calls. That's going to happen while you're making sure that you're doing the things that you know that you need to do to take things to the next level. Let me tell you, I heard this before, and I know this sounds crazy, but this woman did this. I heard a story about a woman who she had been single for such a long time. And she was sick and tired of being single. And she said to herself that I need to find not just a boyfriend, but ultimately I need to get a husband. And so she was so frustrated, and she had this dream, this vision of wanting to have a husband. And so she got tired of just having it be a dream. She got tired of just sitting on the sidelines. And so she decided to do something radical. She decided, and she understands that when you decide to wake up to your dream, what it means is that you got to be willing to start preparing for your dream. And so she said, I'm going to do something radical. She went into her closet and she decided to clear out 1/4 of her closet, and she moved all her clothes out of that one side of the closet and moved it to the other side and moved it to the guest room. And her friend came over and said, what happened here? Why is there this big gap in your closet? What's going on here? She said, well, the reason why I put a big gap in my closet is because that's where my husband is going to put his clothes. And she said, wait a second, your husband? What do you mean husband? You don't even have a boyfriend. She says, I know I don't have a husband. I know I don't have a boyfriend. You don't have to tell me that. But when I do get a husband, this is where he's going to put his clothes. And she said, okay. She said, said, maybe you know what? My friend's a little crazy. Well, guess what happened? She had a little dresser next to her bed, an extra additional nightstand. She had one on both sides of the bed. And so what she decided to do was go ahead and clear one of the nightstands. She pulled out the drawer. She took everything out of the nightstand. She cleared the countertop. Her friend said, well, why are you doing that? She says, well, obviously, if my husband is going to be sharing a room with me, he needs to have his own nightstand so he could put his things into. So I'm clearing the nightstand. The friend looked over at her and said, what is wrong with you? Are you absolutely crazy? She said, don't worry about it. And then she went out, and while she was at the store, she was walking through and she saw some towels that said his and hers. And she decided to go ahead and buy some his and hers towels. And her friend said, wait a second, this is ridiculous. You're buying his and her towels? Wait a second, you don't even have a boyfriend, let alone a husband. She says, I know I don't have a boyfriend, and I know I don't have a husband. But when I get my husband, he's going to need his own towels, and I'm going to need my own set of towels. And let me tell you something, even though her friend was laughing at her, even though her friend thought she was crazy, she was preparing for the dream that she had in her. And let me tell you, months later, she would eventually meet a guy. Months later, that guy would fall in love with her. Months later, that guy would eventually propose. And months later, that guy would eventually become her husband. And that spot that she created in the closet, he would be walking right in there and putting up his clothes in that spot. And that dresser that was right next to the bed, he would put his little belongings in that dresser and set his little things on top of the dresser top. And that his and hers towel, he was glad to have a set of towels all to himself. And so here's what I need you to understand. This woman, when people were looking on and her friend was looking on, she thought she was absolutely crazy. And the reason why her friend thought she was crazy is because she didn't understand how someone could simply have a dream and prepare themselves for a dream that has not yet come to fruition. And so here's what I need you to understand, that even if you have a dream right now, now understand that that dream cannot come into your life until you decide to begin to wake up and make room for the dream. And waking up means that you've got to start preparing and do the things that's required of you right now. And so what I'm saying is, if the dream is to write the book, then what I'm saying to you is that right now you begin to write. Right now you begin to outline. Right now you begin to jot down the stories. Right now you start thinking about what the book is going to look like. If the dream is to start the business and you don't have the resources, then right now you grab a piece of paper and a pen and you start mapping out what the business is going to look at. You think about who are the strategic partnerships that you need for the business. You start thinking about who are the people you're going to have to contact in order to get this business off the ground. If right now you're saying to yourself, I got to get out of debt, then you take that piece of paper and pen right now. You start working out your budget. You start thinking about what it's going to be like to be debt free. You start changing your habits and changing your discipline. And what I'm saying to you is this, that once you decide to act, and once you decide to wake up and stop sleeping on your dream, that's how your dream comes to fruition. And that's why J.M. Powers said this. He said that when you want your dream to come a reality, when you want your dream to become true, when you want this dream that you have that's in you to start moving forward, he says that this is what you got to do. The first thing that you got to do is you got to wake up. And part of waking up is understanding this, that you can't just go off of your eyesight. You got to be willing to dial in and see with your mind sight. You've got to see beyond the circumstances. You got to see beyond your bank account. You got to see beyond everything that you're looking at right now, and understand that whatever your situation is right now, it has not come to stay, but it has come to pass. And this dream that you have, this dream that you're seeking, this dream that's in you, it is waiting to come forward, no matter how long you've been sleeping on it. And all you have to be willing to do is to get out of that bed, that cozy bed, get out of that comfort zone and wake up and start doing the work. You see, there's an old proverb, an old Chinese proverb, and here's what it says. The best time that you could have planted a tree was 20 years ago. And if for some reason you did not plant the tree 20 years ago, the second best time is right now. And so maybe perhaps you haven't moved forward on your goals and your dreams. You've been sleeping on your dream for over a year, for over 3 years, for over 5 years, for over a decade. I'm telling you right now that it's never too late to wake up. George Eliot said it's never too late to become the man or the woman that you could have been. And so right now is the time to wake up. This is your wake up call. I'm waking up authors right now. I'm waking up entrepreneurs. I'm waking up game changers. I'm waking up comeback experts. I'm waking up people that know that they have something in them that they've been letting sleep for too long. And so I'm telling you right now, we're not going to go ahead and let this dream die in us. We're not going to allow ourselves to continue to sleep on this thing, that this is the time to wake up. And so I tell you again, wake up, wake up, wake up. This wouldn't be Andy Henriquez if I didn't end by telling you this. Show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't, nobody else will. It's time to wake up. It's time to make some things happen. All right. And so for those of you who are tuned in right now, maybe perhaps you haven't had an opportunity to connect with me in the past, I want to connect with you. And so here's how you can do that. Right now, I want you to open up a web browser if you can, and go ahead and type in showupforyourlife.com. That's just a free website that I have for the motivational movement. But when you get there, you just go simply look for a banner. You're going to see a place where you can go ahead and type in your name and your email address. Go ahead and type in your name and your email address, and that's going to allow me to send you an instant motivational message. It's going to allow me to continue to provide you with powerful, impactful messages that I believe that I'll be able to create a shift and a change in your life. And so I don't know where you are right now, but I know this for sure, is that if you continue to feed your mind, if you continue to develop yourself, if you continue to engage in a process of personal development, if you continue to override that internal conversation that's in you, at some point you'll be able to tap into something in you. Something will awaken. And all of a sudden, you begin to realize your goals and your dreams. And so here's the other thing. For those of you who aren't part of our Show Up for Your Life community, I want you to join our private group. And all you got to do is open up a web browser. Go ahead and type in showupgroup.com. Just go ahead and type in showupgroup.com. When you do that, that's going to allow you to join our private group. Just when you do that, just send us an invite. I'd love to go ahead and invite you to our group. That'll be the group where you can go ahead and send us a couple of shout outs and let us know what kind of input or anything that you got from this message that you received today. And so as we customarily do, I'm going to go ahead and, of course, take some feedback and comments from those of you who are tuning in. I'm going to take some feedbacks and comments from you in our Show Up group. So I want to make sure that you definitely do